Last week in Monte Carlo, Jared Donaldson got fined around $6,000 for arguing with the chair umpire over a missed call when they disagreed on the ball mark.
What are you talking about?
For sure,
there's marks
this
right
was
here
from a
across the
previous.
ball.
It was a previous point.
So what mark are you
for me, you just touched the line.
Okay, show me mark. Show me mark.
The fact I cannot see the mark there, but it was for sure on the line.
You can't see a mark?
Well, obviously
There's a mark right here.
Oh, just calm down.
There's a mark right here.
Just calm down. It's not a reason to talk like this.
Yeah, it is.
No.
Yeah, it is. You're not showing me a mark.
Stop this. What are you doing here?
You're not showing me one mark. Call a supervisor right now.
You can call him, but
supervisor right now. Call a supervisor right now.
This is not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
And take a look at the Hawkeye. That was the correct mark, and as you can see, that ball was out. The chair umpire called it in. Then yesterday, Marcel Granollers got into it when the chair umpire called his ball long and then admitted that he lost the ball mark.
It's out like this. Trust me. I don't have the mark. I lost the mark. Marcel, it's really out. It's really out like this. I lost the mark, but it's out like this. Marcel, I understand your frustration, but I don't have the mark, but it's out like this. Trust me, Marcel.
Now, replay did show that the chair umpire was correct in this instance, but clearly finding a correct ball mark, not a perfect science on clay. Here's a statement Justin Gimelstob provided us from the ATP last week on why it does not use Hawkeye on the clay courts. This is from Gail David Bradshaw, the Rules and Competition VP for the ATP. It's the natural properties of clay all affect the accuracy of the mark, and therefore electronic review could cause more controversies than it solves. Ball marks and electronic review both have some margins of error, which could be in conflict with each other. So that brings us to our tough call. Should Hawkeye be used on the clay courts? Yes or no, James?
Well, I'm going to start this by saying this isn't a hill I'm willing to die on because I don't feel that strongly about it, but I'm going to say no, we don't need it. I mean, you can see the mark, and if it is going to conflict with the electronic review, you're going to get people arguing because right now on hard courts, you can't really argue with the machine. You say, okay, the electronic review says it's out, and you go on your business, but you can argue when you see a mark right in front of you and you see it clearly, and then the electronic review is something different. That's going to cause a little bit of controversy. People are going to be pretty upset, as Jared Donaldson was, as Marcel Granollers was, and it's just I don't think it's going to solve a problem. It's going to cost more money, and it's going to slow things down a little bit when you can just check the mark.
James actually made my argument for me, except I'm going the other way.
Okay.
And for a couple different reasons. One, it's you're right about the mark, but we saw a couple instances there where they can't even find the mark. So first of all, you have potentially players and umpires arguing about which mark it is. That's the first thing. And the second thing, I would imagine it's about the little particles of the clay, which makes it a little less accurate. But I believe the hard court accuracy is it 3 millimeters? There's a little bit of a margin for error.
There still is on the hard courts. Yeah.
Right. So for me, it's the same concept. And so I think that they can probably figure out a way to tweak it. So I would like to see it, but mostly for that first reason where if the umpire and the player can't even find the mark, and then they argue over a mark whether it's touching the line or not, it would be nice to have kind of a ruling governance. And the players have accepted it on the hard courts now. Would be harder on the clay because you'll see the mark, but we're getting all these arguments anyway.
But do you think it's worth it then, if it's only going to happen once in a while, to have where the player and the umpire disagree and they can't find the mark? That's going to happen just a few times, maybe once or twice every tournament. Is it worth the expense of installing that at an event to have that one problem solved?
If it's at the wrong time, it can be pretty consequential. But you know what? I'm actually, I'll retract that. I'm going to take the fifth and let my attorney, Steve Weissman.
Well, I just say let's split the difference here. Use the Hawkeye to at least find the correct ball mark.
Okay.
Just get the mark right, and then we can disagree on whether the particles are there and whether it's in or out, and that's up to the chair umpire. But let's get the mark correct and not have a situation where Jared Donaldson's like, this is the mark, and the chair umpire says, no, this is. Either get the linesman out there or use the technology, because I'm all for if you have the technology, use it. Get the ball marks correct. We want to hear from you. Get your opinion on this. Chime in on all of our social media. We will tell you later in the week whether you agree with Paul or James if clay court tennis should have Hawkeye.